Now that you have a better understanding of the ArtSTART grant program, let's discuss the application process. For details on ArtSTART and other Ohio Arts Council grant programs, visit the grants page on the OAC website. If you're a first-time OAC applicant, you'll need to register your organization in our online grant system, ARTI. It's free and takes just a few minutes. You can access ARTI by clicking on the red icon on the grants homepage at oac.ohio.gov/grants. You can also access ARTI using the web address at the top of the screen, ohioartscouncil.smartsimple.com. Once you're registered in ARTI, you can log in at any time to access your application and grant information. All application materials are submitted through ARTI. After you register your organization in ARTI, return to the Ohio Arts Council's grants page to review important documents, including the guidelines introduction and overview, and ARTI instructions, which we'll talk about in a moment, and the grant writing tip sheet, which walks you step by step through the process of preparing a complete and competitive grant application. The Ohio Arts Council's guidelines provide every detail you might want to know about the grant-making process, every program, every deadline, and all the criteria that will be used to evaluate proposals. The guidelines introduction and overview provides important background information, including resources to help make your programming accessible to people with disabilities, and specific funding restrictions that are applicable to all grant categories. The ARTI instructions provide a helpful overview of the Ohio Arts Council's online funding process. This document walks you through the application and review process and what to expect if your application is awarded funding from the OAC. If you scroll down, you'll see all available grant categories and their specific funding guidelines, who is eligible, what funding supports, who to contact for more information, and more. The OAC provides funding in 4 categories: operating support, project support, arts learning, and individual artists, with several programs in each. ArtSTART falls under the project support category. Click on the header for more information. Here, you can access the ArtSTART guidelines by clicking on the PDF thumbnail. The ArtSTART guidelines explain what the program aims to accomplish, describes who is eligible to apply, lists staff contact information, shows review criteria, and a timeline of important dates. The review criteria will be used by panelists to determine which applications are recommended for funding. Let's take a look at the important dates in the ArtSTART grant cycle. ArtSTART has an annual deadline of April 1st to fund activities in the upcoming fiscal year. The Ohio Arts Council's fiscal year starts on July 1st and runs through June 30th of the following year. So an application you're preparing during the winter or early spring is due no later than April 1st. And if it's awarded funding, those dollars can be used for activities happening beginning in July, through the summer, fall, winter, and the following spring, all the way until the following June 30th. For example, if you plan to apply in the spring for funding for a festival that occurs 4 months later in August, it falls within the eligible grant period. If your event happens in May, you'd have to plan ahead and apply for it a full 13 months beforehand. Projects that take place over many months within the grant period are also eligible. After the application period closes, a panel of experts meets to review and score the application. Panelists are people with knowledge of the arts and Ohio's communities, who come from all backgrounds, arts genres, and regions. Panel meetings typically occur in May or June following the deadline, and you'll receive an email letting you know the exact date. It's optional, but as an applicant, you're encouraged to listen to a live audio broadcast on the OAC website. You'll hear panelists discussing what they like about your proposed project, how well they felt it lined up with the ArtSTART criteria, what questions or concerns they have, and what suggestions they have for improving your programming or your next application. Finally, you'll find out the official results of your application in late July, after our board meets to review and approve the panel's funding recommendations. If your application is funded, you'll receive instructions on how to complete a grant award agreement with the Ohio Arts Council, how to use the OAC logo in your upcoming materials, and when you can expect to receive your grant award payment. Typically, grantees request half of their award during the grant period and receive the other half after the conclusion of their project. Now that you know all about the application process, here are a few grant writing best practices to help strengthen your application. Grant writing can be mysterious if you're new to it, but it's not too different from storytelling. Here are some tips our staff has collected over the years to help you put your best foot forward as you apply for funding. Address the review criteria. The most important part of your application is the section where you submit written responses to questions. We call this your narrative. The application narrative questions are really just the review criteria from the guidelines posed in question form. So it's important to address every question. Be clear, direct, and positive in your responses, and avoid using tentative language. Provide a clear description of your proposed activities to set the stage. Describe who, what, where, when, and why. Remember, your grant application reviewers, the panelists, may not have any knowledge of your organization and what you plan to do, so it's important to summarize the basic elements of your proposed project at the beginning of your application. That way, panelists will have a starting point that will set the stage for the rest of your grant proposal. Provide a complete budget that details all project expenses and funding sources. Your budget is only an estimate of how you plan to raise and spend money for the project you hope to carry out, and it will give the panel important information about what's the size and scope of your activities, where most of your funding will go, and what's most important to you. Include relevant support materials. Support materials are extra items. That means anything that isn't typed directly into your narrative or budget. And they're an important element to enhance your application. ARTI provides a list of strongly encouraged support materials for you to consider. If these are relevant to your program and organization, we highly recommend including them. You can upload them right into your application, or for items available online, on your website or elsewhere, you can include a link right in your narrative to point panelists to them. Put yourself in the shoes of a panelist reviewing your application. Beyond your narrative, what other materials help you tell your story, explain who you are, and describe the difference you think this project will make in your community? Ask someone outside of your organization to review your application for clarity and intended effect. Remember, panelists likely will not know much about your organization or what you do, so it's helpful to mimic that perspective with someone who's unfamiliar with your work. Ask a neighbor or friend to read your proposal and ask if it made sense to them, if they found anything confusing or incomplete, and if they noticed grammar or spelling errors. The more readers you can share it with, the better it will probably be. The Ohio Arts Council funds ArtSTART with your tax dollars, and it's only successful if you have the information you need to learn about the program, submit your application, and carry out your activities after receiving funding. For more information about best practices and the application process, contact your region's program coordinator. Your program coordinator serves as your main contact. They're available to guide you through the process, provide feedback on your application, and answer any questions you might have, whether it's before your application is submitted, during the review process, or after your proposal is awarded funding. They can also connect you to our investment office for additional information. Thank you for your interest in the ArtSTART grant program. Ohio is home to incredible artists and arts organizations doing amazing work that benefits our communities and state. And the Ohio Arts Council is thrilled to be able to support the great things our grantees do through our funding programs. We hope this video has been helpful to you as you prepare to seek support for your upcoming work. And we look forward to working with you and discussing your proposal. Thank you.